Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. MC-Mura here, and in today's video we're gonna take a look at the balance changes for Ryu in the definitive update for Street Fighter V, or the final update for the game. This is supposed to be the balance patch, and Ryu did get a lot of changes. He did get buffed a lot. I don't see a single nerf on his balance changes, and obviously it's not as dramatic as last year's changes, but still actually really huge for the character. Will probably end up in a really good place after all of this, because I don't know what else can they do to Ryu, to be honest. The first change is to his standing heavy punch, and what they did is that they made the opponent have a longer time in the air after a crush counter. In the previous season, obviously you could end the target combo. Here you could special cancel the standing heavy punch itself, but you kinda had to confirm this, right? The idea is you had to confirm that it was a crush counter and that a follow-up combo. What they did now is they made the opponent float for a longer time, so this will allow you to do something like this, which this is not a cancel, by the way. I didn't special cancel the heavy punch into super. This is a normal air juggle, very similar to what Guile does with his back heavy punch into critical art. It's a quality of life change, nothing too dramatic, but it is pretty good. The second change is to his crouching medium punch. It doesn't push the opponent back as far on a hit. This is done for combo consistency, to make sure that stuff like that will work every single time, which is pretty sweet. I haven't tried it once and it failed on me, so I think this is gonna be pretty consistent now. Now, the third change is one that we have seen in the trailer, and it is to his solar plexus. Now you can V-trigger cancel it on the second hit, right? You can't V-trigger cancel on the first hit anymore. This is something I have to show. So if I try to do it in the first hit, it doesn't work. It will only activate on the second one. But this is actually pretty sweet, because this means that now this is a very easy hit confirm, right? Because the cancel is so late, it's very easy to actually hit confirm this into a lot of damage, right? And you are plus 13 on this one, so you do get some pretty good follow-ups here. Now the good thing is on block, this is still really good, right? You activate, you are plus 3, and you are in throw range. So they now give you a hit confirmable safe option to V-trigger activate from. So this is actually really nice. They also made a change to his target combo, which means that now when you do it, the opponent, there is a bit of a, like, the opponent is in the air for shorter time. I assume this is to make sure that you kinda get the combos down, right? And speaking of that, the second target combo, which is the medium punch crouching heavy punch, this one is now special cancelable. We kinda saw this a little bit in the trailer, obviously. You can get stuff like that, which is pretty sweet, right? But obviously, as you can see, the second hit will whiff. It's not still the optimal combo route, but it is pretty good in probably for the ease of execution, right? You do something like this, very easy combo, and you get a good meaty situation. Not the biggest change, but it's pretty good. It's pretty cute one. Now, the next one is actually really important, and it's probably the most important change to Ryu. It is that his Hadokens now do 70 damage, and this is significant. You're doing 10 more damage on every fireball, and they will add up. Like, this is a damage that will add up over time, right? So this is really good, and obviously even on block you are doing more shift damage. I think 70 might be the most damaging fireball in the game. I'm pretty sure his fireball now is probably the most damaging one in the game. You can even think of matchups like Dulcim or Poison that they might trade a lot with you. Now the trade is almost even for you, right? Heart rate, I believe now is 90 or 80, and you're doing 70. And Ryu obviously have more HP, so it's almost getting to a point where it's even. Now this next one is actually kinda ridiculous, and that they made the heavy Hadouken even faster. So take a look at how fast heavy Hadouken is, and because of this change, It is now very much more likely to combo from crouching medium kick. Still does not work from the tip range. So it's like if you did a max range crouching medium kick, still doesn't work. But in the neutral, the heavy Hadouken now is pretty fast. Add that to the fact that it does more damage, and you will find that this is pretty good. The other change is to his EX Hadouken, and this is pretty much done to make it easier to hit opponents who are at a higher height. The whole idea of this is to make this a consistent combo, right? Like stuff like that, they wanted to make it more consistent, which is pretty good, and it will also play a factor in another change that I'm about to show you. And that change is very reminiscent of Street Fighter 4 if you have played it. In Street Fighter 4, you could anti-air with a light DP, and if the opponent was in the air in a high height, something like this, Ryu was able to juggle with an EX Fireball. Well, guess what? This is now back in the game, right? This is pretty cool. I'm not sure like how likely a Ryu player will go for like an anti-air like this. You only get the EX Fireball to juggle and obviously critical art here, but it's a pretty cool one. It makes me pretty nostalgic, to be honest. I kinda missed it, but yeah, you see how high the EX Hadouken hit here. The hitbox on it is pretty vertical now. And another changes that were done to his Tatsumaki, these changes pretty much are consistency changes, like to make sure that it always hits, because sometimes it used to actually, like you used to get some hits but others would whiff, but the changes to the Tatsu and Air Tatsus are made so that it's a lot more consistent. Next up, we got some changes to his donkey kick, the light donkey kick, and what they done is they made it like travel further before he gets to hit, and this is pretty much for the sake of consistency, right? So it's like if you happen to get like a maximum length like standing light kick, it's still gonna be pretty consistent. I haven't seen it whiff a lot, to be honest, in the past seasons. Especially the previous one, because it's a move that got buffed a lot, but yeah, this is pretty much the point of it. Maybe like you're buffering a lot with crouching medium kick into light donkey. So yeah, it's a consistency change, which is always good. Now this next couple of changes are to his V skill 2, which is kinda nutty at the moment. It's pretty crazy. Let's here check out a recording where Sean is gonna jump into, like, say, do a normal, and obviously reuse V-trigger to the moves that have an armor point. Now, it still didn't change the fact that the armor point doesn't kick in immediately, right? You kinda have to like do it preemptive, but the good thing about it is that it is still a fairly safe-ish move on block, right? On block, it's still -4. Which is not bad. Now what they did change is they changed the hit stun a little bit, which I'm not sure exactly what it does, to be completely honest. Like, what is the implications of this? I'm not really sure. I wasn't able to figure out like what actually changed here, but yeah, the effect, the big one, is that now when you happen to hit with it, the opponent does a wall bounce, but you can't really get much here, right? If you notice, the bounce is actually pretty fast, right? So it's like you recover pretty much as you know, as soon as the opponent hits the floor. So the Oki situation isn't as powerful as we might have expected, and you don't really get combo follow-ups here, right? So let's make sure that she is quick rising. Alright, let's change it to make her quick rise on that one. Right. So you see, it's not like a very advantageous situation. The idea is obviously if they happen to, like if you happen to V-trigger cancel, now you get to dash up into combo. But the idea here is obviously that you get guaranteed Oki, right? So the dash up into something only happens on a V-trigger activation, it seems, but on the regular hit, yeah, you don't really get that much, because it would have been completely busted. Like, if I'm being completely honest, a little bit disappointing, but could have been completely busted. Now the next change is to his Ishin. This is the V-trigger 2 strike, and now this is CA cancelable, right, which is obviously a pretty big deal. you do something like sure you can cancel into it, and now you get the CA, which means a ton of damage, right? Like just raw CA, Shoryuken CA, so you can be trigger to CA. That, as you saw, that was almost a 480 combo. Like holy shit, this does so much damage. Right? This is like 550 on this pretty butter combo. Pretty ridiculous. Pretty ridiculous. Now, the next change is to his Shenko Hadouken and Denjin Hadouken. And let's first show what is the change to the regular Shenko Hadouken. And this one is also pretty sweet. They now made it pretty consistent to anti-air with a DP and then get a follow-up cancel into super, right? So if you do stuff like this now will almost hit every single time. The cancel is very fast and they increase the hitbox. So even on a high, like obviously it need to be a little bit deep, right? But it's a lot more consistent now. As you can see, you are getting it way more often than I would have in the previous seasons, right? Oh wow. My execution is trash today, really. Now this will whiff, obviously. Yeah, you get the point. So this is pretty nice. And they also did change Denjin Hadouken, and the change is that it doesn't deplete on an activation. So what does this mean? It means that obviously in the previous seasons you do DP into super and Ryu's V-Trigger 1 would be gone, but now his V-Trigger 1 is still intact. This is pretty big actually, because Ryu does a ton of stun in this, and obviously this super does improve damage, so they want the buffed V-Trigger 2 and its functionality, so they made sure to buff V-Trigger 1 as well, and obviously with the increased travel speed of the heavy Hadouken as well here. That is pretty great. So overall, he's a very buffed character. Will Ryu be a top tier this time around? I'm still not sure, obviously you never know, but I mean, with the nerfs to a lot of the other characters and a lot of the buffs that he got, there is a good chance that he will be in a high tier position. If you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like or a comment, helps the channel so much. I will be leaving a link to the Patreon page, Discord, Twitter and Twitch pages in the description below. Thank you very much for watching and stay safe.